Welcome back to All Philly All the Time, and I'm going to get right into it. We're previewing the Eagles season in this episode, and I'm very annoyed at the media in general because everything I've seen Eagles preseason, like discussing what will the Eagles do this year, has been the first thing they talk about has been, well, last year, they lost 7 out of 8, and then they lost that playoff game against the Bucks. And that's the only thing that I've heard every single media member talk about. And I feel like they're making it this huge storyline, but no Eagles fans, or very few Eagles fans, are actually concerned about that. I think we are far more optimistic. We have brand new coordinators. It's a new season. We're not thinking about last year. I feel like the mainstream media is very concerned about what happened last year, but we've turned a new page. Like, we're good, new season, let's roll.
They collapsed last year. There's no other way to say that lightly. They fell apart down the stretch. The first half of the season was electric. Second half of the season was horrible. First round exit, not what you want to see. They didn't play the best football when they needed to. But I don't like thinking about negative Philadelphia things. I get those things out of my head as quickly as possible.
That's this show.
And so I'm pumped for a new year. New year, new team, new coordinators, like Owen said. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like the media is disrespecting the Eagles. They're looking at, last year, thinking that's going to be indicative of this coming season. It's not. It's just not. You had Saquon, you had new coordinators, and you bring back, like, their O-line. Yeah, their defense is going to be phenomenal. Their O-line is going to be just as good as ever. You bring back their weapons, and you still have Jalen Hurts at the helm. I trust Jalen a lot, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people right now are looking at how last season ended, and I think Parker said it perfectly: a collapse, a falling apart, a chicken running around with its head cut off. But not only was its head cut off, both its wings and its legs and its arms were cut off. Chickens don't have arms, but they were still cut off. And I mean, that's what our season ended like last year. And this year, I think we're coming in stronger than ever. A bit of a rebuild in that collapse, but not even a total rebuild. I mean, you've got new coordinators. We drafted phenomenally this year, adding to our defense, making it so much better. The addition of Saquon, bringing CJ back. I mean, there's so much that we did this offseason that's just going to make our team even stronger. And it's going to be very evident when the Eagles come out swinging right away. And yeah, we're going to surprise a lot of people, I think. I don't think a single Philadelphia Eagles fan is going to be surprised, but I do think the media and the rest of the NFL is going to be very surprised because they don't expect us to come out the way we're going to come out.
Yeah, and with that being said, I mean, we have to predict the Eagles record. It's just a given. This is All Philly All the Time. So, this is a preview episode for the Eagles. We have to predict their schedule, their record, and see what they're going to do this year because we're obviously all very optimistic about the Eagles season. Let's see how optimistic we actually are by going through game by game, breaking it down, and figuring out, okay, this is what their record's going to be for the regular season. And then what? You want to give some postseason predictions as well?
Oh, of course. We have to because when you're talking about the Eagles, you're also going to be talking about the postseason. Spoiler alert. So we have to go over that. So yeah, let's get into this. We have the schedule pulled up here, so we're just going to go game by game. We're each going to say if we think the Eagles will win that game or not. Very simple. So, week 1 in Brazil against the Green Bay Packers. Luke, will they win or lose?
We're going to win that one. I think we're going to come out swinging. I think it's funny, quick sidebar. I don't know if you guys have seen all the stuff around the stadium that they're playing in. It has a ban on green, and then they put 2 green teams in it. I think that's very funny. Yeah. Kind of irrelevant to what we're talking about. Anyway, Eagles are going to win that game.
Parker?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a weird game, right? I mean, it's in Brazil. Like, they probably don't speak a lot of English there, and it'll be far away. You'll have to fly very far to get there. And I honestly think Jordan Love is the next coming of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So I'm giving the Eagles a loss week 1. I think they're just going to keep the ball rolling
Okay.
from last season. I know I was just really optimistic about it, but not week 1. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a weird game. And, it's not going to be indicative of their season, but I don't feel confident about them winning that game. So I think the Packers are going to be really good this year. I'm going to give them a loss week 1.
Okay. I actually agree with Parker. So immediately after that intro of all of us talking about the Eagles, 2 out of 3 of us have them losing week 1, but I completely agree. Brazil, probably a weird game. I do think the Packers are legit. It is really interesting that it's 2 of the youngest teams in the league. I think the Eagles are like the 6th youngest. Last year, the Packers were the youngest, and now they're still a top 10 youngest team. So I think it'll be a really good, entertaining game for like the average NFL fan to watch, but I think the Eagles will still be settling in a little bit with the new coordinators, kind of like figuring out this newer core. And then, yeah, if something goes wrong and they lose a close game. So Luke's the only one having them win against the Packers. Next, week 2, Monday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start this
Am
one
I
off.
going? Oh,
I was
okay.
just going to have Luke go first
Oh,
every time.
oh,
Yeah, I didn't know if we were
Have to
going in the same circle
just
every
keep
time.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good idea.
Monday Night Football, primetime game. Plenty of rest between their Friday night in Brazil and their Monday night against the Falcons. I think they're winning this one. I think the Falcons, good quarterback in Kirk Cousins down there. I think are starting to rebuild that team and rebuild that offense into something good. But I still think they're going to be trying to figure it out with their new coordinator, their new system, their new coach and their new systems. And um, I think that will be better than the Falcons in that game.
Yeah, anything is better for the Falcons than Arthur Smith, but they're not going to be as good as the Eagles, not in week 2. I could see Kirk Cousins really cooking up something special down the stretch, but now week 2, it's a little bit hard to figure out an entirely new system when you're playing a loaded Eagles squad week 2. Give me the Eagles in the primetime game.
I will make it a clean sweep. The Eagles win the Battle of the Birds, get their first win. So we all have them beating the Falcons. Then they have a really interesting, they play 3 straight NFC South teams. So next we have the Saints.
Yeah, I think we're beating the Saints. I think they're still not a great team. I still don't think they have a lot of pieces. I don't think Derek Carr is still their quarterback. I don't think he's the option right now. I think there's a lot going on down there, and I don't think that they're good enough. I don't think they're good enough to beat many teams, let alone the Eagles. So
yeah, there's a lot going on down there, and it's not good. It's all bad. Did you see that one video where it was like, hey,
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave was asked, did you see anything good happen? Any plays that made you have some hope for the season? He's like, no, nothing good.
Not really.
Not really. I mean, nothing impressed me really. So, I mean, yeah, the Saints are going to suck this year. I think they're going to be one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. Maybe bottom 3, honestly. So,
Wow.
I think Eagles get this one done pretty easily.
Okay. I also agree. The Saints, I don't think they're going to be that bad, but the Saints are not going to be nearly as good as the Eagles, and they beat the Saints. And then the third straight NFC South matchup, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield.
yeah, I mean,
Owen's
rematch
fanboy.
of the first round of
Yep.
rematch of the first round of the playoffs last year, but it's Baker Mayfield. I mean, the Eagles are winning that. L for Baker Mayfield. I got to give that game to the Eagles. I mean,
Yeah, automatic loss to
if the
Baker
Eagles
Mayfield.
ever lose to Baker Mayfield again, I
Wait.
may just I don't know. I don't think Baker Mayfield will win a single game this season. So
Yeah, no,
Bold take.
I
I'm
have
clipping
to.
that.
I have to agree with Luke on that one. Baker Mayfield. As soon as I see his name pop up, automatic L. If you guys have listened to the podcast, you can understand our Baker Mayfield hate. He should not be playing football at this point. He doesn't deserve to win games, and so automatic L for the Buccaneers. The Eagles are going to have some revenge from losing to them in the postseason when they shouldn't have. They honestly shouldn't have. A fluky game, those happen. There's luck involved in football too. So,
I mean, they lost 32-9.
Luck.
But
It was lucky. Baker Mayfield doesn't actually win games. He just gets lucky. He should go to a casino because that's the only time that he would win money.
Yeah.
Automatic L for Baker. W for the Eagles.
okay, well,
Yep.
you guys know I'm not even like that big of a Baker fan, but just the fact that I support
You're
him
obsessed
a
with
little
him.
bit means
You're
that
obsessed
I'm
with
like
him.
his big supporter on this
fanboy
show.
over Baker.
I think
You're the biggest Baker fan ever.
Okay. No, the Eagles are beating the Bucks. I can't even take that. So Luke has the Eagles undefeated going into their bye week, which sounds a lot cooler if you say it out of context. But when your bye week
early
is in week 5, it's not quite
Yeah.
as cool. I am concerned about that week
I
5
don't like
bye
it
week.
being
That's
so
scary.
early.
Yeah.
Come on.
And as much as I love having them undefeated going into the bye week, I think they're coming out of the bye week a little bit slow. I think this game against the Browns is going to be their first loss of the season. I think it'll be one of those games that they should have won. I don't think the Browns have a crazy good team or anything like that. I think they have some pieces here and there, but I don't think they have anything crazy good. But I think they're going to lose. I think the Eagles are going to lose to the Browns in this week. I think they're going to be coming out of the bye week a little slow and just have one of those games. You know, we don't like those games, but they happen. And I think it's going to be in this week 6 against the Browns.
Yeah. The I don't know. I don't like Deshaun Watson. There's
Bold take.
Yeah, he just doesn't tickle my fancy, you know. Is that a term?
I mean, he's tickled some other
think-
people, so
Luke,
I think
no.
I'm giving Baker an L. Or sorry, Baker an L.
Baker.
I'm also giving Deshaun Watson an L.
He's Browns.
Yeah, Browns. Baker reminds me of the Browns. So Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson, they're losing. I cannot give them a win. I'm going Eagles with the dub.
Wow. I'm gonna go the exact opposite of Luke. I think the Eagles come out of their bye stronger than ever. They feel good. I have them 3-1, but they did pretty well in their first 4 games, and they just like really figure some stuff out in the bye week and come out firing on all cylinders. I do think the Browns are good, so I think this is like a big signature win. It's a really good game, and the Eagles come out on top, and we're like, okay, this team is legit. And then the feared New York Giants first matchup with them of the season. I think we can all agree that's. I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like we're all gonna have the same answer for this one.
yeah, bounce back game. I think they're going to win that one.
Another bottom 3 team in the league. The Saints.
Bottom
Giants.
2, honestly.
Yeah.
Giants are bottom 2. I don't think they're the worst, but I think they're probably going to be close to it.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants are going to suck this year.
They're so bad.
They're very bad. So I mean, we're going easy dub for the Eagles.
Yeah, I will also have them beating the Giants quite handily. I have them coming off of that big win against a good Browns team. They ride that momentum and just steamroll the Giants in that game in week 7. Yeah, 7. So we all have the Eagles at 5-1 in week 7.
Oh, and you
Really
have them
good.
losing 2 games. You're at 4-2.
What? Who else do I have them losing? I had them losing week 1.
Just week 1.
The Buccaneers.
No, I said I was joking.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I didn't. I
I'm
missed
not,
that
I'm
then.
not
I
that
missed
big of
that
a
then.
Baker supporter. No. They're
I thought
gonna
you
be
said they
Bucks.
lost to the Buccaneers. I missed that then. My bad.
Don't you worry. And then probably the biggest game of the year to this point, it seems like the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
And with Joe Burrow back, they're going to be really good.
Yeah. I mean, with the exception of the Packers potentially, this is probably the only top 10 team we're playing up to this point in the season. And I think it's going to be a tough game. But I think my hope is by this point in the season, we've figured a lot of our kinks out and we're kind of just rolling right now. We're mid-season. We're fairly fresh off the bye week. I think we're going to win this game against the Buccaneers. I mean, that's also under the assumption that Joe Burrow is hurt by this point in the season. But yeah, I think
Luke
we're
is
beating the
not drafting
Bengals in
Joe
this
Burrow
game.
in fantasy.
I guess not.
Luke doesn't like people that look like him. He thinks that they will get hurt. All right, so
He won't even give that. Yeah.
Luke's gonna be hurt by game 7, week 7 of the regular season. No, the Bengals, they're gonna be very good this year. I like the Bengals a lot. And you know, I'm just gonna be honest here.
That's good.
They're a great team. I don't think their defense is quite up to par with the Eagles, though. Although I think their offense and their firepower is going to be pretty dramatic. So I'm going to give the Eagles the win. I do think that they'll hang in there with them offensively. And I do think that Joe Burrow, hey, at this point, I agree with Luke. Like, he could have a sprained ankle and not be 100%. We've seen it in the past. So I don't know, but I'm going Eagles here as well.
I will take the Eagles to beat the Bengals. Another really good game against an AFC North team, but like I said, I think they're going to be rolling, and so I'll give the Eagles a win.
Yep,
Then we
good.
have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Brief pause. Oh, and you see that it says we only have 9.5 minutes left, right?
Yes. So we'll just have to like end it and jump back
Okay.
into a
Cool.
new one. So
Time in. Against the Jags, I think the Jags are another one of those teams that are growing. I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I think Doug Peterson fits really well in that team, and I think they're bringing in pieces, and I think they're doing a really good job in that organization. I don't think that they're going to beat the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to like compare all those pieces and say that this piece is better than the Eagles, and that I just think the Eagles have those better pieces. They have a better defense for sure. And I think that their offensive pieces are going to be stronger, and they're going to beat the Jags in that primetime matchup.
Yeah, I really like the Jags this year as a dark horse contender. I think that they're going to have a solid team. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to put everything together this year, and I don't know. I like their pieces. I like Christian Kirk. I like ETN. So I'm going to give the Jags the win in this game. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. I could see it being a very high scoring game, like a 35-32 type deal. And I'm going to give the Jags the win in this game.
Luke, did you have the Eagles beating the Bengals or losing to them?
Beating them.
Beating them. Okay, so you got the Eagles 7-1. Okay. Yeah, I think the Eagles win this one as well. I'm sticking with that they just go on a run after their bye, so I'll have them beating the Jaguars. So Luke and I both have the Eagles at 7-1. Parker has them at 6-2, coming into the rivalry week against the Dallas Cowboys, and this game in Week 10 is in Dallas.
Yeah, and I think that right there is the reason we're going to lose to the Cowboys in that game. I think it's almost inevitable that we split with them every year, one win, one loss against them. I don't remember the last year we beat them 2 times, and so I think just because it is in Dallas, I think the Cowboys win this one. I feel like that atmosphere is a whole another level advantage for the Eagles, and so foreshadowing my pick for the next Eagles versus Dallas matchup. But in this one in Dallas, I believe that the Dallas Cowboys will win this game, and it breaks my heart to say that.
Yeah, I think if there was ever a year that the Eagles could beat Dallas twice, I think it's this year. But I haven't ever seen it happen like in my lifetime, maybe. Like
Probably not.
I just don't remember it happening. So I can't bet against that. So I'm gonna give them a loss here.
All right. I say the Eagles continue their run, and even though it's in Dallas, and even though they always split with the Cowboys, I believe in this Eagles team, and they beat the Cowboys. They go into Jerry's world and come away with the victory, and then they ride that momentum into playing the Washington Commanders on Thursday night.
Commanders on Thursday night. This one's in Philly. I believe that the Eagles will be winning this game. I think the Commanders are starting to, again, build up their team a little bit, drafting Jaden Daniels. I think they're starting to build a little bit more, but I just still think the Eagles are going to win this game. I don't see why they should not win this game.
Yeah, the Commanders are always a little tricky. Like the Eagles always keep it really, really close against them, and it gets you really worried, and then they always end up pulling it out and, forcing a turnover in the fourth quarter and, a huge defensive sack, and then they put the game away and they go up 2 scores with like 5 minutes left and they finish it out. That's always what happens against the Commanders. And so I kind of see a similar game script happening, and I'm going to give the Eagles the win here.
I think this is where the Eagles lose. Last year, they had two very strange games against the Commanders. Like you said, both of those games were way closer than we thought they should have been. And yeah, I think they're coming off the high of beating the Cowboys. Quick turnaround Thursday night game. They stumble and they lose this one to the Commanders. So we go into week 12 and they play the LA Rams.
Um, Rewind. 2011 was the last time the Eagles beat the Cowboys twice in one season.
Wow.
That is a long time. Great research.
It's been over 10 years since.
I was 7.
Holy cow.
Over 10 years, which is insane.
Man.
Yeah, the odds of that seem very, very slim. Although if it was a year, like I said, it could be this year.
Yeah. All right, back to this. I think the Eagles are losing this game. I think that the Rams have some really strong pieces. I think Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback for them. I mean, they've got Kupp and Puka out there. Kyron Williams, a great young running back. I think it's going to be a dogfight, but I think ultimately the Rams are going to take this one. And I hate to say that because I love watching us win in prime time, but I think the Rams are taking this win here.
Yeah, I get a little bit worried about the Eagles' pass defense a little bit more so. I mean, they have really good pieces there, but I feel like their run defense is just going to be absolutely phenomenal this year. I get a little bit more worried about their pass defense. You have the Rams, who I feel like are going to have a pretty dynamic offense. You have Puka and Cooper Kupp on the outside as weapons for Matthew Stafford. But I'm not very high on the Rams this year. I think that they've been really good in years past, and Sean McVay is obviously a genius when it comes to offensive scheming. But I'm a little bit worried about them. Matthew Stafford's getting a little bit older. Cooper Kupp's getting a little bit older. And I just don't think their defense is going to be as good, so I'm going to give the Eagles a win.
I will also give the Eagles the win against the Rams. I think this one could be a really fun game. I think that this is really going to show us what the secondary is made of. So yeah, I'll give the Eagles the win there. And then they head into another tough matchup. Back to back, you play the Rams, and then they play the Baltimore Ravens. And both of these games are on the road. So they're going to have to go out to LA, play out there, which games against the Rams in LA, like they did it last year too. It's basically a home game, but still the travel. And then they have to go to Baltimore to play the Ravens.
Yeah. I think playing the Ravens in Baltimore may be our toughest game of this season. I think it's going to, the Ravens, I think, are a really, really good team. Lamar is a phenomenal quarterback. They added Derrick Henry in this offseason, who is getting old, but he's Derrick Henry. Like, he's still got some juice in him, I believe. And I'm struggling with how I want to go on this one. Because I agree with Parker. I think our run defense is very good, and I think it's going to be very good this year. And I think that's where the Ravens tend to thrive, is in that run game between Derrick Henry now and Lamar Jackson. I think that's where they thrive, and I don't think they have a ton of great weapons downfield. Do they have OBJ this season?
They have.
Is he still on the Ravens?
Zay Flowers.
That's right.
Mark Andrews.
Zay Flowers. Yeah.
Rashad Bateman. Oh,
yeah. So I think that I think this is going to be a tough game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles in this one. I think we'll be able to stop their run defense enough to take the edge on this one and win this game.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we will solidify people's thoughts of like, okay, the Eagles are serious contenders. And I think they'll be thinking that all season, but I think they'll say, man, they've got the easiest schedule ever and think we're a joke. But I think this week will help solidify the fact that we're actually going to be contenders this year.
Yeah, the Eagles, I think they're going to run away with this game. They're going to prove to people, man, the Eagles, like Luke said, they're a contender. They're going to shut down Lamar and Derrick Henry. I can just see like a scenario where the Kobe Dean is playing at this point and he just absolutely lights up the King Henry. And
the Kobe Dean is small.
No, but he just
he lights up Derrick Henry.
Yes, and then it goes viral, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, the Eagles are crazy! They gave up 50 rushing yards to the best rushing offense. Like, how'd they shut this team down? blah, 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 this type deal. So give me the Eagles in this game.
I think the Ravens beat them in this one. They lose, but they have an easier stretch coming up, so I think they're about to go on a run after this loss. So I believe we all have the Eagles at 9-3 right now at the end of week 13. Heading into week 14, they play the Carolina Panthers. This is another one I think I can guess what we'll all have.
Win. I mean, the Panthers, I think, might be the worst team in the league down there with the Giants and the Saints. So
I think this is a signature win for the Carolina Panthers. I think this is the point where they're like, hey, their rebuild is starting to come together. I'm gonna give the Panthers the win in this one. I'm dead serious. I actually believe in the Panthers this year.
Wow.
are you? You're not joking right now.
No, I'm
How many
serious.
wins do you think? Quick spin into Panthers. How many wins do you think the Panthers have this year?
5 wins.
That's crazy that's believing in the Panthers. These five wins. Parker's a Panthers believer. He's all in. 5 wins, baby.
I'm in on the Carolina Panthers. They're not going to be a bottom 5 team.
Okay. You think there's going to be 5 teams that are finished worse than 5-12?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see. There's a lot of clippable stuff in this episode. I think the Eagles easily beat the Panthers. They're upset that they lost to the Ravens the week before. They take out that frustration on the Panthers. Then it's the Battle of Pennsylvania, week 15. They go up against the Steelers.
I think the Steelers are a pretty bad team. I don't think they have a good quarterback situation. I think they have some talented young position players, but I just don't think. I think the quarterback situation is what hurts them the most, and I think that is why the Eagles are going to win this game.
Yeah. Steelers, bottom 5 team in the league. Worse than the Panthers.
Mike Tomlin loses his winning record.
Yes,
streak.
Mike Tomlin is losing it. He's going off the rails this year. Everybody calls for his resignation by the end of the year, and the Eagles are just going to beat up on the Steelers.
Parker's starting to come out with some spice in these final weeks. I also think that the Eagles win. I thought that the Steelers getting Justin Fields and Russell Wilson was a smart move in the offseason because I was like, one of them is going to work out probably, but it seems like in preseason they might just be 0-2. So the Eagles win that one as well. And then they play the Washington Commanders for the second time. They'll finish up the season with 3 straight divisional matchups.
Yeah, and I think they're starting to get tired at this point. I mean, it's been a long time since their bye week, and I do believe that they'll lose this game against the Commanders. I mean, you said it earlier in their first matchup against the Commanders. For some reason, even when they play a pretty terrible Commanders team, they manage to struggle against them. And I think that's going to show in this game. I think they're going to be tired. I mean, as much as I hope this isn't the case, I do believe that there's going to be some injuries at this point, like hopefully minor injuries, ones that will be better by the playoffs, but I don't think this is the game that they feel like they have to win. And so I think that they will probably lose this game.
I'm just going to wrap up their season. They're taking 3 straight W's to end the year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, I trust that they're going to get on a roll coming down this postseason. And they're just going to go on like a run where it's like bang, bang, bang. With my model right now, I have them projected, I think, for like what, 4 losses?
The Parker model?
The Parker projection.
Are we allowed to know what the Parker projection Parker model is?
Yeah.
Or is that secret?
It's up here.
Okay.
That's what it
so
is.
We'll never fully understand it.
Yeah, it's just
Gotcha.
there. It's locked and loaded. And they have 4 losses up to this point. They're going to be playing every game to try and get like, hey, close to this 1 seed, type range. And so, yeah, give me 3 straight wins to beat their divisional opponents, their NFC competitors here down the stretch.
Yeah, I have them beating the Commanders as well. And then I guess since Parker went for the final 3, I'll do that. I also have them winning this final stretch. So I have them losing to the Ravens, and then they win 5 straight to close out the season. So Luke, you're kind of just Cowboys Giants together, I guess. You can go over both of those.
I think they'll win both those games. I think they'll feel that loss against the Commanders, and I think they'll definitely be beating the Cowboys in that matchup. They'll still have to fight in that game, and even if they have their position locked by that last game, I think that they could play their 3rd strings and still beat the Giants. So I'm not too worried about that last game either.
I agree. I agree,
Yeah.
Luke. I think you're 100% right there. So, that being said, I finished out with a
13.
13 now. There's 17 games. 13-4 record for the Eagles. What did you finish out with, though?
I have them going 14-3.
14-3. That's crazy. What is
Do I have them at 12-5 or 13-4?
13-4.
13-4? We're all clearly very high on the Eagles this year.
We are very high on the Eagles.
Yes.
And so, I mean, with that, I think 13-4, I think I'm going to say there's another team 13-4 and they lose the tiebreaker.
Okay.
I'm going to say that they're the 2 seed in my projection.
The Parker model.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that they, obviously they have to play in the divisional round, right?
Mm-hmm. If they don't get the bye, yeah.
So I think, 100%. Who are they going to beat? They're going to.
Oh, you're going specifics.
Oh, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying
Okay.
to project this thing out.
All right.
I mean, they're gonna beat the Cowboys in the divisional round.
That would be a great start to the
I
playoffs.
really hope that happens.
Cowboys lose their first playoff game again.
That would be
That'd be
sick.
amazing.
Should I just do like my projection? Should I just knock it out?
For like the whole playoffs?
Yeah.
Or for the Eagles. I would just do the Eagles
Okay.
for now.
Well, no, for the Eagles. That's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
yeah. Keep going.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they beat the Cowboys in the divisional round. Then they get to the NFC Championship game, right?
Mhm.
In the NFC Championship game, they take on the Lions. I think it's going to be them versus the Lions.
Mhm.
I think they're going to beat the Lions.
Wait, if they didn't get the first
No.
round bye, they had to play in the wild card.
Oh, they
So
play.
they beat the Cowboys in
wild
the wild
card.
card. Then in the divisional,
Oh,
they play somebody.
okay. Then in the divisional round, who would they take on in the divisional round? They could take on the 49ers.
This is a gauntlet.
This is a gauntlet.
They just play like the other 3 best teams in the NFC.
Yes, yeah, they beat the 49ers.
Ooh.
Then they beat the Lions. I'm high on the Eagles this year. And then like reality hits and they lose to Kansas City in the finals.
Again?
Yeah. That's what always seems to happen.
That would
and we're gonna
be
hate Patrick
so
Mahomes just
awful.
as much as we hate Tom Brady.
Man, I really hope that's not what happened.
I really don't either. This is just my projection though.
Man, that's
Yeah.
scary. What do you have, Luke?
I mean, this might be just an optimistic Eagles fan wanting the best, but they're gonna win it all this year. I mean, this is our year, guys. This is our year. I think I agree with Parker. I don't think we're gonna get the 1 seed. I think we'll be in a tiebreaker for the 1 seed, and we're not gonna get it. I think we'll win in all. I mean, obviously, if we win the Super Bowl, we have to win in all 3 NFC rounds, and then I think we're gonna play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and I think we're gonna beat them this year. I do. I think this is revenge game, and they want nothing more than to beat them. And there's no family feelings because Jason Kelce isn't on the Eagles anymore, and so I think this year they're just gonna be hungry
Hungry
because
dogs.
hungry dogs run
There it
faster.
is.
Yes.
There it is.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Okay. I love this. I love that we feel so good about the Eagles. Also, I'm kind of worried about our credibility because this makes us seem super biased.
Yeah,
that we're
that's true.
all
Oh, I am
picking like
super
this.
biased.
Okay,
Luke's like,
Luke's like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
worried about
We're all
credibility. You're
Philly
right.
all the time. Are we supposed to be impartial? No, we're supposed to be biased Phillies fans.
I guess. I still want to be a little bit. I want to have some credibility.
all
But
right, so let's.
I am glad that we're optimistic. Well, I gotta
Okay,
give mine.
it would be unrealistic if I was if I was a Panthers fan saying the Panthers are going to win the Super Bowl. That is unrealistic. It is a realistic possibility
Yes.
that we are contenders this
Yes,
year, and
that's
so
true.
I don't think it's why it's overly biased. Is it
Okay.
biased? Absolutely. But is it overly biased? No, I don't think so. I think we genuinely have the potential to win the Super Bowl.
I agree. I also have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I'll follow Parker's model of.
Then what are you saying?
Well,
No
that's why I was
bias,
setting up-
no bias.
No, that's
Nope,
bias.
they're gonna win
though.
it.
That's why I was setting it up. I was like, oh, dang it. I'm going to pick the Eagles
That's
to win it.
biased.
And now we have Eagles win Super Bowl, Eagles win Super Bowl, Eagles lose in Super Bowl as all of our projections.
All right,
so
then-
that's what I was worried about.
All right,
leading
this is
into
my
it.
second projection then.
Well, I gotta give my.
Oh,
but
okay.
I have the Eagles getting the. I have them 14-3. I think that's good enough for the bye. They get the 1 seed, and then I'll say that they beat the Cowboys. I'll steal that. They beat the Cowboys, but it's in the divisional round, and then they take out the Lions in the NFC Championship, and then they start off the season with a battle of green teams. They finish the season with a battle of green teams. They beat Aaron Rodgers and the Jets in the Super Bowl.
No way.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, you're high on the Jets this year.
I believe the Jets, with possibly the worst quarterbacking we've ever seen, were still half decent last year. And so you add Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have to be the amazing Aaron Rodgers that he's been. He just has to be good, and it'll be a huge upgrade. So I really believe in the Jets lineup in general, their roster. Sorry, baseball talk. I believe in their roster in general, and I think adding Aaron Rodgers will be super good for them. And yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers takes them to the Super Bowl, but they lose to Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. So yeah, we are so biased. I'm sorry to anybody watching this
All right,
who's offended by that.
This
but
is
the
too.
Eagles are
I'm
gonna be
not sorry.
good
I
this
don't know
year.
why he's sorry, but I am not sorry. Like, I'm not going to apologize for being a biased Eagles fan.
Okay.
I don't know what person isn't biased to their team. Bias
No.
is just natural.
True. Yeah, what was your second bold prediction?
My second take to appease non-Eagles fans, which I don't know why you would. This is all Philly all the time, but hey, you
Yeah,
want a Philly analysis on the league. So to appease those people and cover our ground so that we don't get sued, just antitrust. You can't have it. The Sherman Antitrust Act.
Yep, the Richard Sherman.
Yeah, got to make sure that we stay impartial and unbiased and unselective to the fans.
I'm really concerned about what's about to happen.
We'll just give them, we'll just say, hey, they go, 11-6, just what the media thinks that they're going to go 11-6, and then they lose, round one to the team they faced week one, the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, so you just did like a
Oh, I
fake,
thought you were gonna
a
say
fake
Baker
second
Mayfield.
prediction?
Yeah, this is just to appease people. This is not what's really going to happen.
Okay.
This is just to cover our bases.
Gotcha. Just in case somebody watches out of context. Okay, I guess that works. Sure.
It covers us from a.
I think we need
legal
to move
standpoint.
on. I think we need to move on before we say something that's going to dig ourselves a deeper hole.
Yeah. To dig us out of the hole, I have two other. Oh, we can format this. I have two thoughts on the Eagles, just that I want to get out there before the season starts, just so that it's kind of for Eagles fans. It's also kind of for everybody else. Just things that I want to have out there before the season starts. So if you guys have any of those, you can share them. If not, it's okay. Another complaint about media that I've been seeing from the Eagles, when they talk about the Eagles secondary, they're talking about Slay's older and Quinyon Mitchell's a rookie. And they're like, those are the Eagles' two corners. And nobody talks about Isaiah Rodgers, who in preseason has been the Eagles' number 2 corner consistently. Like, they're talking about Mitchell being in the slot or being the third outside corner, because Isaiah Rodgers has consistently been the number 2 with Darius Slay. And I feel like everybody's forgetting about him. So shout out Isaiah Rodgers. A key piece of the Eagles secondary that I feel like nobody's talking about. They forget that the Eagles have him because he was suspended for the gambling and stuff. So big piece of their defense and their improved secondary. And then my other thing is I just really believe in Jalen Hurts. And I think that this is the most control. It seems like from reports, this is the most control he's going to have over the Eagles offense in general. Jason Kelce being gone. He was the one who would kind of call out the protections and stuff. Jalen's in charge of that this year. He's going to have the most control he's had with deciding the plays and everything. So I think this is the year where it's the most Jalen's team that it's been. And I just totally believe in Jalen Hurts. So my official thing that I want to have out for before this season is I think that this could be the greatest Philadelphia Eagles team we've ever seen.
Wow.
And I know that's
Wow.
a lot. And it's hard to do with new coordinators.
They have to win the Super Bowl.
They have to win the Super Bowl. Yes, they have to win the Super Bowl. And I think that if they do that, they will be better than the other Super Bowl winning team that we have. And they can go down as the greatest Eagles team.
So you really believe in Jalen Hurts this year too?
Yes.
Where do you think he finishes in the MVP rankings?
I think he could win MVP. If they go 14-3, like I have them doing, I think he wins MVP.
Wow.
So
here's what
I'm
Wow.
I'm all in on the Eagles this year.
Here's what I'll say about that. I do like that take. If you if you were watching the Eagles every single, game last year, if you just tuned into them occasionally when they were in primetime, you wouldn't have noticed this, but Jalen was kind of hurt last year.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell, it's like he is such a tough, gritty player that he's not going to speak to the media and be like, I'm hurt. It's like, that's just, it is what it is. Like, I didn't have a good game. I was hurt out there. Like, but you could tell, like, he was toughing it out. And it doesn't get talked about a lot because he does battle through it, and he doesn't like be like a lot of other players and just like brush off the blame on that. He just actually sticks it out and doesn't really talk about it. He just his team knows what's going on. He toughs it out and he gives it his best effort every single week. He's going to be fully healthy this year. Like, there's no lingering injury that is affecting him going into the season, at least from reports that I've seen. And it's going to be exciting to watch him. I hope that he stays that way throughout the entire year, because football, you can never predict injuries. Like, they happen. You just hope that it's not to your players and your team. So, obviously that would really suck for the Eagles, but hopefully that doesn't happen. And we can't
you can't predict that. That's just,
that just happens. It's just football. But hopefully the Eagles stay mainly healthy. Like Luke said, they just have minor stuff and then they're playing their best football at the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, that brings up a really good point. Just like, I don't think there was a single time last year where Jalen was fully healthy. And I think from reports that we've been seeing and from what we've seen ourselves from videos and stuff, he looks happier, he looks faster, he looks more energetic. He looks like he's ready to get out there and play. Last season just felt lethargic. Even from week 1, when we did win a bunch in the beginning of the season, it felt lethargic. It felt slow. It felt like we probably shouldn't have won that game.
Yeah, we had text chains while they were on this huge winning streak of like, what?
It just felt off.
Yeah, what's going on here? I remember we were texting middle of each game, and then towards the end of the game, it was like we won, but that didn't feel like a win. Like it was like that while they were in their win streak. Sometimes you can just feel it, and all of us could tell last year, even when they were like winning towards the beginning of the regular season, it just didn't feel like they were a complete team, and they ended up collapsing. And it made a little bit of sense because they were winning, but it just felt like it's just predictable. Something's going to happen here, and they ended up collapsing. So. I think it's a great point. I think that this could be a pretty special season. What are some things, Luke, that you want to get out there just really, really quick, and then I'll hit a couple as well.
If you have any, you don't have to have any.
I don't know. I feel like I've covered a lot of it in the picks of what we just did, but I think the Eagles are going to be a lot better than people realize. And I think that gives them that underdog mentality. I mean, how the Eagles work as underdogs. I mean, Jason Kelsey said it best himself. Hungry dogs run faster. And these underdogs are hungry for a victory in the Super Bowl. So
I love it. I'm going to predict a couple things here. Saquon goes over 1,000 rushing yards. I think the Eagles are going to be very balanced. They're going to be solid on the run game and the pass game, which I don't think is crazy to say. I think that each game is going to have a different script, kind of like what they were doing a couple of years ago. They're not going to become overly dependent on one thing. I really think that they're going to diversify in their attack strategy depending on the team, which I'm kind of excited about. And then from a defensive standpoint, I think we have a little bit of a regression in terms of sacks, but we do get
if they regress in sacks from last year, that's bad.
No,
because they were already bad last year.
Oh, trust me, I know. We're going to have more defensive pressures, though. And here's the thing. The secondary is going to have 20 interceptions.
Wow, I would love that.
20 interceptions.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Over 1 interception per game.
That's so many.
Yeah, I know.
Throw like a Daniel Jones 4-pick game in there.
Oh, yeah.
And that boost the average.
Picks. 20 picks.
Okay.
And let's see, one other thing.
Wow.
Devonta Smith, whatever you want to call him, is going to be our wide receiver 1 for the year, taking over AJ Brown's role.
That just makes me think AJ Brown got hurt.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not saying how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
That
Okay.
also makes me
All
think that AJ Brown's going to want out.
No,
They're good friends. I love seeing the two of them interact. It seems like they're
I do
just like
too.
a
I
great
love it.
duo, which I love.
I love it,
So
and I want to keep them both. So
hopefully that's
I
not
don't know.
AJ doesn't
I
want
feel
out.
like I I don't entirely agree that Devontae is going to be number one, but I think like I mean obviously you see teams and it's like number one, number two. I think it's going to be a very even split. I think
Yeah.
AJ is going to have some crazy games. I think Devontae is going to have some crazy games. I think their stats at the end of the season are going to be comparable. And yeah, I mean they're also just such different types of receivers that based on who you're playing, it's going to be so different. I mean,
Mhm.
Devontae is that smaller, agile, route running, quick guy who's going to run those crazy deep routes and throw guys on their butts. And then you've got AJ who's just going to win every jump ball that you throw to him. He's just a beast. He's not going to let anybody body him. And so, I mean, you've got two very different and dynamic receivers that it's like, I think I agree to the point of I think you're going to be have a very split workload, and it's going to be a very close 1-2 relationship compared to like a you know wide receiver one up here, wide receiver two down here kind
The
of
one
thing.
A, one B.
Right.
Yeah,
And that being
exactly.
said, I want to clear the air a little bit. My favorite player right now on the Eagles, if I had to pick one, is AJ Brown. So,
Okay.
like, I love the way that he plays, his play style. Yeah, it's phenomenal. The way that he just absolutely wrecks people, I love it. So, I want to clear the air on that, but I do think that he might finish as a wide receiver too this year.
Okay. That would be
Guys,
fascinating if it did happen.
I need to pick a favorite Eagles player.
You don't
I've
have
never
a-
had this dilemma.
Oh, because Jason Kelce.
It's always been Jason
Oh
Kelce.
no, there's a vacated spot in your heart, Luke.
Oh, do
I've
you want
never
to
even
decide?
thought. I haven't even when he retired. I wasn't like, oh man, this is my new favorite. Like, I've never even thought about it. I just thought about it. I don't know.
Do you want to decide now, or do you want to get like this season is like a season of deciding?
Oh, like you have to
'Cause,
figure
I
it
mean,
out throughout the year.
Yeah, maybe I let it go through the season and then figure it out. Because I mean, even if it wasn't Kelsey, like Fletch was my very close number two favorite player. And there were even probably times where Fletch was above Jason a little bit. Towards the end, it was Jason all the way. But I mean, they're both gone.
Man,
What are you gonna do, Luke?
yeah,
This is
I didn't even think
crazy.
about that.
This is the biggest dilemma of the century.
Well, I mean, your options, okay? You have Lane Johnson.
Well, we don't need to go through all the
We-
options.
Yeah, we gotta get to the
All right,
draft.
all right.
So, maybe we'll have like a weekly update, like Luke. So or bi-weekly, like Luke,
Yeah.
Luke's favorite player power rankings. We'll make a note of that. Luke's favorite player power rankings segment coming soon, where we'll find out how it's going with who stands where.
I'll put together a preseason power rankings for you
Okay.
guys, and
All
then
right,
we'll see
perfect.
how it goes.
Okay.
We'll do a top five. I won't do it right now. I need to think about it.
Okay.
But,
Yeah. You
but
got,
I'll
this
let
is a big
I want to
decision.
put that
You need
out
to
This is
prep.
a massive
I want to put
decision.
that out on the Instagram
Mhm.
and yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that was our Eagles preview. And now we're going to do our draft that we do every episode. We're going to keep it Eagles themed. The best Eagles of all time. I got to re-say that for the
The
social.
boats. The Beotes.
Best Eagles of all time. Yeah, just boats. Yeah. Or no, yeah, the E. Yeah. I got to re-say that for the social quick. We're drafting the greatest Eagles of all time. There we go. Now you see the behind the scenes of the magic. We're not in person, so we can't do the finger tappy thing, as it's called. So okay,
Here, I can do one for Luke.
you'll just put a finger on.
Yeah.
And okay, so which of your fingers?
Wait,
is
yeah,
Luke?
yeah. Determine whose
You have to
finger is who.
assign-
The middle finger is Luke's, and
Wow,
the middle
it's
finger
Luke the
is
middle
mine.
finger,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm giving Luke the middle finger.
For everyone watching, Parker is giving Luke the middle finger.
All right.
And 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I get to go
Oh.
first. All right, now
Man,
let's-
number 1 pick. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Luke gets to go second.
Okay. Well, you get to
Wait,
pick.
hold on. Wait,
Do you want the first?
do I get
pick?
to?
Oh, no, I want. I don't. Yeah, I want the first pick.
Did Zoom just give me the thumbs up thing on the face?
Yeah,
of
I don't
my-
know. I saw that. I was really
It was right over
confused.
my face. You want what pick?
I want the first pick.
He wants the first. All right, Luke, do you want the second pick or the third?
No, I want the third pick.
Ooh, okay. So it will be Parker, Owen, Luke. Interesting.
All right. My pick was a guy drafted in 1999, Donovan McNabb.
What?
Yeah.
You're number one Eagle of all time.
Number one Eagle of all time. Okay, he never won the Super Bowl with them. But here's the thing, though. You haven't seen a generational run like this. Donovan McNabb went to 5 NFC championship games with the Eagles, including 1 Super Bowl. Give me Donovan McNabb. Quarterback's the most important position. I love McNabb. He McNabbed my heart, and he's the number 1 overall pick.
That's
He
insane.
McNabbed your
How is he
heart.
your number one?
Number 1. I love
I
McNabb.
try to generally
All
be
right,
positive,
Owen,
but
Just
wow, that was
just-
crazy. What a start.
yeah.
I love Donovan McNabb.
Okay. With the number 2 pick, I get Reggie White, the all-time Eagles sacks leader, the minister of defense, arguably the greatest defensive lineman of all time, Reggie White. That's the easiest pick I've ever made.
Nah, not important. Not as important as the QB
Yeah.
position.
And I think this guy is also above Donovan McNabb. I'm gonna take, the greatest Eagles safety of all time, arguably one of the greatest safeties of all time, Brian Dawkins. And I didn't think he was gonna fall to me, and I am so
Mhm.
thankful that he did, because then I can take the wraparound and take number 2, or the greatest Eagles center of all time, and the potentially one of the greatest centers of all time, my favorite player of all time, the guy that rests in my heart for all of eternity, right behind Jesus, of course. Jesus is number 1 without a doubt.
Good pick.
Jason Kelce, and I don't think I missed a beat on that pick right there.
I think that if you really love Jason Kelce, you would have taken him before Brian Dawkins, but okay.
You know what? I could have done that. Because I had the wraparound. I was going to get B-Dawk anyway.
Too
So.
late now. So you don't really love him, I guess.
You're right.
But, whatever. It's fine. Okay, so I hate to do this to you, Luke, but you just said how your top 2 favorite players, Jason Kelce, number 1. I'm gonna take your second favorite Eagle, Fletcher Cox. So I've solidified defensive line, Reggie White, Fletcher Cox, arguably the 2 greatest Eagles defensive linemen ever. Fletcher obviously won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, was with them his whole career. I think having a career-long Eagle is huge. So, Fletcher Cox.
Hey, I respect your picks, right? But they're not the most important position. Give me another quarterback. Randall Cunningham, he put together a great season. He's a great Eagles player. He went 15-1 with the Eagles. I mean, imagine if Jalen Hurts did that this year, went 16-1 with the Eagles, we would. Oh my goodness, that's just crazy. Randall Cunningham, he's just an absolutely stud Eagles QB. I want all of the Eagles QBs here, okay?
Are you going to take a third?
Give me Nick Foles.
Oh my word, he's just taking all the quarterbacks.
Nick Foles. Quarterback is the most important position.
I mean, take the Super Bowl winning one.
You have to understand, okay, that QB, without a good QB, your team is incomplete. You can have a great defensive tackle, but if your offense doesn't do anything, you can't win the game, okay?
This is insane.
Give me Nick Foles, the guy who led the underdog Eagles to a championship game. And I mean, what else can I say? Nick Foles is legendary in the city of Philadelphia.
Wow, what a pick. I think that taking Randall Cunningham at the end of the second round is way better than Donovan McNabb number 1 overall. But anyway, wow. Okay, so now, Luke, do we take quarterbacks? Parker just took like the top 3, so now I feel like we're stuck. We can't have a quarterback because then we're reaching if we go for the 4th quarterback.
It's all part of the play.
I feel like those 3 were the only 3 that were on my board. So Parker's put us in an interesting spot here. I'm gonna go with.
I'm not worried.
The greatest tight end in Eagles history, Zach Ertz, caught a crucial 4th down catch to keep their drive alive in the Super Bowl. And then he catches the Super Bowl winning touchdown. He's an amazing Eagle all-timer. Unfortunately, didn't play for them his whole career, but Zach Ertz is one of the greatest Eagles of all time.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Owen. I love that. Zach Ertz, another one of my personal favorite Eagles. Absolutely love Zach Ertz. And I'm going to go to another guy who I think is not only one of the best Eagles to play his position, but also just one of the best that we've seen do it in a very long time, and that is Lane Johnson. I think some of the records that he holds is absolutely insane, and I don't know him off the top of my head, but I know that like just the lack of pressures that he allows the defense to get on the quarterback from his side. I mean, it is so extremely evident when he is injured because you see the quarterback getting pressured from that right side or left side, wherever he is, so much more than normal. And
He
so
gave
I
up a
think
sack
he's one
last
of the great.
year, and it was the first one he had given up in like 2 seasons.
Exactly. And I think that says a lot about him. Gotta love Lane Johnson. And then, is this my last pick? Are we only doing 4 picks?
Last pick.
With my last pick, this is a tough one. And I think where I go here is somebody who I never personally get to watch play. Going with wide receiver because I don't have a skill position player on my team yet. Harold Carmichael. I think he was an absolute beast. I mean, this man stood at 6'8", and by the way, the tallest wide receiver to ever play the game of football. 6'8", and on top of that, had a 127 game catch streak, which I don't even know how many seasons that is, but that's a lot of games in a row to catch a ball. And so he had a dominant career with the Eagles, and yeah, greatest wide receiver the Eagles, potentially the greatest wide receiver the Eagles ever saw.
Dang it, Luke, that's who I wanted on the wraparound. That's I'm not happy with you for taking Harold Carmichael because
I'm glad I could help.
He's a Hall of Famer. That's the best case for it because like Fletcher Cox, not a Hall of Famer, probably. Maybe. Zach Ertz, borderline, but like to have a Hall of Famer on your team, to take a Hall of Famer for your 4th pick, absolute steal. So I was trying to do that same thing and couldn't get away.
And I mean, that's
it.
3 on my. I mean, or that's at least 2. Is Brian Dawkins isn't in the Hall of Fame yet? Is he?
He is. Yeah, Brian Dawkins.
Is he now?
Brian Dawkins is in the Hall.
Is.
Jason Kelce.
I mean, Jason Kelce will be for sure. Carmichael is. I mean, that's 3 right there. 1, 2, 3.
That's 3. 1, 2, 3.
That would be count, Luke.
Yeah. To get a Hall of Famer because I think that's kind of necessary for me at this stage. I know Reggie White, Hall of Famer, obviously, but I'm just gonna go defense heavy. The Eagles have had a lot of great defenders over the years, and arguably the greatest defender the Eagles have ever had is Chuck Bednarik. Real throwback linebacker for the Eagles, but he has one of the most iconic moments where he just laid out a player and then like stood over him. So look that picture up, Chuck Bednarik, just like hit, and it should come up. But yeah, just like one of the original great Eagles.
I love that, Owen. I love that. With my last pick, who impacts the game the most, right?
The quarterback.
It's the quarterback.
Oh my god.
So you know who I'm going? Ron Jaworski.
He went on QBs.
The 1970s.
Wow. I love that you committed to that.
Ron Jaworski, an absolute stud, back when I wasn't even born yet. I mean, he led them to a Super Bowl in 1978. Was an absolute...
Which they lost.
And 80, yeah, and 82.
Also, which they lost.
But hey, he got on there. Right. And so who impacts winning the most? The QB does. He was a prototypical pocket passer, just could throw absolute missiles back in the 70s and early 80s. And so Ron Jaworski, he was you don't want to miss it type football. And he impacted the game like no other except the other guys I drafted. So just absolute stud. Give me the most important position for my 4 players.
Okay. That dude, what a draft by you. I think you're either gonna win by a ton or lose by a ton. I love it. I love that you went all in on just taking quarterbacks.
Hey, they impact winning the most.
I'm glad.
What a strategy.
I'm glad you committed to the bit too.
Wasn't this greatest Eagles of all time?
It was.
Hey, I mean, the quarterback position, in my opinion, impacts winning the most. So if you want to be the greatest Eagle of all time, you got to impact winning the most.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see Reggie White play? I didn't either, but game-wrecking talent.
Hey, Donovan McNabb.
At number 1 is insane. So, yeah, comment who you guys think won
Do you
the
know who
draft.
blocked for Donovan McNabb?
I don't care because he
Not
didn't
Jason Kelsey because he wasn't in the league yet.
Okay.
But
I was like, that people blocked.
They didn't have the ball though. They didn't run. They didn't throw. Donovan McNabb did.
Sure did. Yeah. So that's the Eagles season preview episode. Thank you guys for watching. Comment who won the draft. Comment your thoughts about how we're biased because we all have the Eagles going to the Super Bowl this year. All that sort of stuff. We welcome it here. So thank you for watching. And this episode will come out on Tuesday, which means we are 3 days away from Eagles kickoff. And the next episode that we record when we're together will have started the Eagles season, which is so exciting.
Let's go. I'm pumped for it. Let's go, baby. Get hype.
We're so ready.
Get hype.
We have a fantasy draft to go do in a half hour, so
I know. We
we'll
better
see ya.
get going. See ya.